Here for Spotlight Series. Really excited to learn a little bit about you and your background and your story. To get us rolling here, can you give a quick intro and share a little bit about your professional background?
Sure. My name is Joey Penick. I'm currently the Vice President of Field Marketing for a company called Everbridge. Spent most of my career in telecommunications, most recently moved over to this industry, which is kind of critical event management. The way I explain it to people, Jeremy, is when something bad happens, we put companies in the position to make the right decisions.
What is field marketing?
Field marketing encompasses really marketing that is aligned with a distribution strategy, usually a direct sales team, where you're working with the sales team to execute events, programs, campaigns, something's called account-based marketing tactics. So it's most closely aligned with sales from the marketing discipline versus, say, product marketing or solution marketing.
When did you decide to go in the direction of becoming a marketer, doing marketing broadly? At what point was that in your career? What drew you to it? Why that direction?
Well, I originally thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to undergrad and got a political science history degree, and but realized I did not want to go to 3 more years of school, and had gotten kind of a summer internship at a company doing pricing, and decided to just stay. And that was in telecommunications. That ultimately turned into a company called MCI. It was acquired by Verizon, where I spent roughly 25 years. Then I moved on to a company called CenturyLink. But it was very natural for me. I like interacting with both customers and salespeople. The dynamic change that occurs in marketing. Marketing's, it's more of a discipline than a science. It changes, and sometimes we go back and repeat things from the past. Good example is direct mail. I got a piece of direct mail last week from Uber with a discount code, and I showed it to my wife, and I'm like, a company founded on a mobile app, all digital. They're mailing me a campaign promo. So marketing's one of those things that's just in constant change and evolution, and I just really enjoyed it from the get-go.
I love that anecdote. There's something very funny about that, that digital to real world connection there. Sure. So when you think about, the work that you do, what sort of skills or attributes or qualities do you think are important to be successful, maybe in marketing broadly, maybe more specifically in the type of marketing that you work on yourself?
Well, communication is important. Okay, now I'm by no means an expert copywriter myself, but I can write a little bit, edit really well. So you need to be able to communicate both in written form and usually verbally. Being intimidated if you're an introvert, probably not your field unless you're, just doing a design type work and behind the scenes. So I'm a bit of an extrovert and engage and talk to people. That's really important. Again, your ability to learn and continue to evolve is important. If you think you're an expert, the thing I started my first job doing was called intra-LATA phone pricing. There's no such thing as intra-LATA services. I mean, we all use cell phones now. There's no long distance fees, et cetera. So the concept of, technology changing, marketing changes, and you cannot be afraid to learn. I was taking a class earlier this morning on some digital marketing things that are changing, just so I can stay at the forefront of kind of my industry.
And maybe we can pull on that thread for a second. When you think about being at the forefront of your industry and kind of some of the changes that you either see happening right now or you foresee coming down the line over the next few years, what do you think some of the major themes are, major trends are that you're?
Well, privacy is probably the thing that's the most glaring, Jeremy, because if you think about our mobile phones and some of the changes Apple is implementing just around the privacy on your apps, you don't have to be a technologist to know. You get it down. If you've got an iPhone and they do a download and you log onto a site, it'll say, do you want to share? That question, that privacy question is a radical change from 8 years ago where, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram were kind of combing all of your privacy data and selling it and using it to promote ads back to you. You wonder why your wife and You were talking about baby diapers in the car, and you log on and you get a baby diaper ad presented to you. That privacy shift that Apple really implemented is a radical change. Obviously, the kind of de-evolution of cookies in a cookie environment where if you went to Amazon.com, it cookied you, and then that data was used to retarget you. And so the cookies going away from Google has changed kind of how they do their technology. So there's just constant change going on. And then obviously the most glaring thing to me right now is the introduction of AI, okay, and how that's going to change, right, marketing and sales. Because if you haven't used Chatbot GPT, you should. It is really, really impressive.
Oh, I have. Maybe too much.
You know what I'm talking about.
I wait up at night until the load's not too high so I can actually access it. So when you think about marketing today, you mentioned a few minutes ago that, there's kind of there's this creative piece, and then there's also this technical piece. Are we moving in a direction for marketing broadly where it's becoming a technical role? Is there still a place for creativity in marketing, or how does that?
100%. 100%. I mean, I think copywriting is a skill, if you can do it, that you're always going to be employed. Okay. It doesn't matter if an AI is spitting out your first draft. That ability to craft a message and tell a story is a talent that will not go away for sure.
At some point in your career, you went from being an individual contributor on a marketing team and doing it yourself, and then you took a step and now are leading a team. Why did you decide to kind of take that step into management leadership? And maybe what are some of your high level thoughts on how you approach leading a team and managing a team?
Yeah, so that's definitely, and that's changed over time, Jeremy. Initially, it was, I want to get into this management position so I can make more money. I was financially driven to provide for my family. But as that's kind of evolved from manager to director to vice president, it's different. I mean, once, I figured out like the secret sauce isn't you doing all the work, it's getting other people to do the work with you. And that's where success comes, especially in corporate settings. Being Superman or Wonder Woman, can get you some limelight. It won't get you promoted. It won't get you to be the senior leader in the organization. And when I realized that, and it was a painful lesson, I won't bore you with it today, but, someone told me, you don't have to try to be the smartest person in every meeting, right? The goal is to get the team. It's not about you. It's about the team moving forward. And once I realized that, it changed my perspective in how I wanted to work and how I engage with other people.
How do you get your team to move forward and perform at the level that you want them to perform at?
Well, first of all, it can be very personal for each person. Everybody's motivated differently or by something else. I have older kids that have moved out and they're in college or graduate college. You have younger kids. What motivates you right now in your life is being with your kids, I'm sure, and the ability to provide for them and, coach them as they grow. I've moved past that. Okay. So someone would interact with you or I needs to be a little bit different. So number one, understanding what motivates each person is critical in leading a team. Just saying peanut butter spread, everybody does this, not real productive. Not everybody has the same skills and can do the same thing. All right. So you can't apply that. So understand the person and what motivates them. What motivates you might be, hey, I need to be off at 5:00 to go to soccer every day. Okay. I don't go to soccer, right? But I do want to take a Friday off to go places with my wife. Okay. So again, what motivates each person is really important to understand when you're managing a team. It took me a while to understand that because I wanted everybody to work like I work and show up when I show up and leave when I leave. But once I realized we're not all the same and you have to deal with people on a human basis, it makes a huge difference in your leadership.
I can understand how that would be the case. When you think about managing a team of individual contributors versus a team that are also managers or leaders, do you see a distinction in how you approach that? Or do you think that once it's your job to manage a team of people, it's basically equivalent regardless? Yeah,
no, there's definitely a difference. Okay. How you interact with senior directors reporting to you versus an IC who may need more guidance is totally different. your directors and managers will often say, I need more help when they need more help. An individual contributor is going to just hope they did the right thing if you don't give them enough direction. So yeah, you got to be more hands-on with an IC, and you want to give your management some time, some room so that they can add their secret sauce onto a project. If you're just mandating everything down, everything's got to be purple, you're removing the creative value from your team.
Yeah.
Not to quote Steve Jobs, but that's who I remember the quote from. But why hire smart people and tell them exactly what to do? There's no value in that.
Sometimes the simple ideas are so powerful, right? Like it's just a simple, very simple idea.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change gears for a second, Joey. What is it that you love most about the work that you do every day?
I love working with people and interacting, especially when you get to deal with customers and partners. And you're doing kind of business development, and you're developing things, and you see a customer use your solution in a positive way. That is really empowering as an employee. It doesn't matter what your company is, but when you see people using whatever it is to their value and helping their business, you can't replace that kind of feeling, man.
Yeah, I love that. Final question for you. Let's imagine at some point there is some young person, maybe a student, watching this, and they're inspired by the path you've taken. They want to get maybe very specifically into marketing leadership, and that's what's really exciting to them. What sort of advice would you give that person today? How should they be kind of shaping their decisions in their life to give themselves the best shot of following your footsteps?
So the first thing I would say is, hey man, don't write anything in stone, right? A successful career can take turns and can have ups and downs. And so, have a vision, have a goal of where you want to get, but don't necessarily put a timetable on it. Things happen at different times. I became a director as a really young person. And then I was a director for a long time before I made it to VP. And there were times I'm like, why didn't I get that VP job, right? It wasn't my time, right? Keep learning something, growing, right? Every day. Try to bring on something new that you didn't know. Be curious about stuff, because ChatGPT, as we're talking about, man, that's a totally different game changer for marketing. If you're not curious about it, you're missing out. You're not going to learn it. And there are people I work with that are like, we'll worry about that when that's in production. I'm like, no, dude, this is a game changer. So my point, back to your question, I apologize, Jeremy, right? Things happen at different times for people. Stay dedicated, work hard, right? Ask questions, and then make sure, biggest failure I see in corporate America, people aren't clear with their manager what they want. If you want to be a director in a company, let's just say Apple, and you need to tell your boss, this is my goal. Help me get there, right? If you're worried, they're going to be like, well, there's repercussions, or we don't want, you can't talk to your management like that. You're working at the wrong place. Your direct manager should be your biggest advocate in moving you along. Okay, but you got to be transparent and say, this is what I want to achieve. A lot of times when people ask me like, hey, I want a promotion, what they really want is more salary. Okay, because when I say, hey, you want this job over here? To do that job, here's what you need to do. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, that's what it takes to get that job, man. So you just want more money. And that's a different path, right? That you can accomplish getting more money versus getting promoted, okay? But if you want to be promoted, have a vision, right? Talk to whoever you're working for. If you can't have that conversation, you go to their boss, or you find you a mentor inside the company that can help you, or you find you a better company that does enable their employees. Okay, so those are critical steps for me, man. Being the father of young 20-year-olds, they want everything now. But things happen at the right time for the right reason for each person.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I do think that idea of distinguishing what you actually are aiming for, what you actually want, and is it money in my bank account? Is it my paycheck? Is it the feeling I get up when I wake up in the morning, looking forward to my day at work? Really understanding that for yourself. I wish I'd maybe had a little bit more of that when I was younger. So, yeah.
I was, midway through my career when somebody kind of woke me up with the reality of it. Like, hey, things happen at different times for everybody, man. It's just
I
not your thing.
absolutely agree. Yeah. Well, Joey, I really appreciate it. Thank you. I think I've really enjoyed learning about your story and hearing a little bit about the work that you do. So thank you for taking the time to chat with me today.
My pleasure, Jeremy.